What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Siren Frost. And just like I promised in my last video, I did a deck profile for you guys from using only the cards from the Freezing Chains structure deck. Now, it took me like an hour to figure out what cards are best for this deck, and it did take me a little bit longer because I was reading the effects carefully and see what's kind of best for the deck and whatnot. Yes. And again, if I do slur in this video, I do sincerely apologize. I try to make these as slow as I can, but difficulties, let's put it that way. And anyways, I finally came up with a recipe that may suit not only my own personal playstyle and the cards I am very quite familiar with, and some I'm just learning little by little again, because it's been like a long time since maybe 10 years since I played Ice Barriers from the old format. So, with this newfound power we've been given, we might as well just try out everything we can. So, with that being said and done, I'm going to give you guys my personal thoughts and opinions about the deck profile I've chosen using only the cards from the structure decks. So, if you guys want to get a little judgmental on me, go right ahead. I can take it this time. But this is only from the structured decks, so it's not a full, complete build like I normally play it. So, if there's some cards in here that you think from the deck that could be a little bit more plausible, just be my guest, write down in the comments down below, and please, if you have something mean and nasty to really say about my deck profiles, just please keep them to yourself, and just give me some sort of actual criticism and opinions to help me out with this deck even more, and see what happens. But anyways, let's get on the deck profile. This is my little challenge. And for monsters, I decided to play 3 copies of Revealer of Ice Barriers. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card from your hand. Or is it 1 monster? Let me rewrite this again. I'm sorry. Discard a card from your hand to special 1 Ice Barrier tuner from your deck. Also, for the rest of the turn, you cannot summon special monsters except for water-type monsters, which, of course, that reminds me of the Marensis deck I also play as well, featuring water-type cards. So, and that's the deck basically all about. As long as your deck's all water monsters, I'm pretty sure you can get away with this pretty much easily. Not only that, she's a level 4 17 attacker, 1700 attacker beatstick, so she'll hold your ground for a little longer as she can while getting some cards that you need. Now, one of the effects I will slowly try to read this more carefully because this is something that I need to work on too. While you control another Ice Barrier monster, your opponent cannot tribute summon. So the difficulty with this is not many people will tribute summon anymore, unless you're True Draco or other decks that require tributing as actually maybe Lair of Darkness decks. Maybe I'm not sure about that. But this card will prevent your opponent from tribute summoning, basically. So that's not really as bad as you think. And this other ability is, and God, there's a lot of text you gotta read from this shit. So, if you would discard or send a card from your hand to the graveyard to activate an Ice Barrier monster's effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead of one of those cards. But the thing is, how often are you going to be using that effect is beyond me. Unless you are really using the effect fully, I think the best option is using the first 2. That's just me, though. Next, I'm playing 3 copies of Dance Princess of the Ice Barriers. Not only was she a tough one for me to find as a super rare, her effect was really plausible when I first played her years ago, and I'm glad that they gave her a chance to get reprinted again because I do love the artwork. However, her effect makes up for that not only for beauty but also for talent. Once per turn, if you control another Ice Barrier monster, so basically the deck revolves around if you have Ice Barrier monsters on the field for another card's effect to be more effective. You can reveal any number of Ice Barrier monsters you're in your hand, then target an equal number of set spells or traps your opponent controls and return those targets to the hand. Now, there are also chain effects too, so you might actually be careful with those as well. However, the effect will still be plausible should you get a few random face downs. Now, I'm not 100% sure this would be going plausible with against Altergeist, because they're meant to be like just fix it like 1, 2, 3. Especially with multi-faker, summon effect using a trap card, basically a trap. It's gonna be a little difficult, so you gotta quickly shut down your opponent's back rows in order to activate anything that happens. Unless they have an permanence, then that's gonna be ETBT kind of moment right there. But basically, she's just your balancer, so that's why I keep her just in case. And since there's other multiple different names, multiple copies of certain cards in here, and also different names, it won't be much of a problem to balance the number of cards your opponent may have, or set spells and traps. It's similar to my Harpies as well. When they destroy them, she sends them back to your hand. Yeah, hopefully that explains a little bit more better than I normally would. For the next card, I'm playing 3 copies of Speaker of the Ice Barrier, which I thought it was very cute because she's a speaker and that's Defender, and that is like a cute little picture because it's like a little girl petting her doggy or something like that. And her effect is, while you control another Ice Barrier monster, defense position monsters your opponent controls cannot change their battle positions. You can only use each of the following effects as Speaker once per turn. If you control an Ice Barrier type monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 Ice Barrier token. Aqua water, level 1, 0 attack, 0 defense. So what this kind of means also that you can get another monster on the field that when you're ready to synchro summon either Gungnir, the Trishula sisters, or Brionac, or Dewloren. Okay, I said Dewloren very twice. Sorry. That will be an extra monster for you to use in substitute for the number of monsters you need. And since I never really adapted much into Ice Barriers years ago, this is going to be a challenge for me because I need to learn everything about Ice Barriers to the best of my abilities. And hopefully this deck will give me an advantage so I can learn slowly and learn the basics of them too. You know, from the new and old, so let's be less difficult. The next cards will be Tuners, which will be Defender of the Ice Barrier. I'm playing 2 of him. And we are kind of familiar with what he can do because of the old and hidden arsenal version. Then we got 2 Cryomancers. I was debating on playing 3 because I love not only his effect, but just because they're another tuner to special due to Revealer's ability. So I'm like, why not? But the problem with this is, I think the best bet you can have is summon either Brionac, Gungnir, Brionac, or Dewloren at first. And then eventually you work up to Gungnir, and then the original Trishula. Then the new one. So these things will be leveling up slowly but surely. And then finally we have Hexa Spirit of the Ice Barrier. So I played 2 of this cute little lizard. It reminds me of the little lizard from Frozen 2 when the fire lizard. So I thought it was a little cute. You know, I love the picture and the cute ability. Its ability is, while you control another Ice Barrier monster, monsters your opponent controls loses 500 attack and defense points. During your main phase, you can send 1 level 3 or lower Ice Barrier monster from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that monster's until the end of the turn. So it's a level changer. So this will help you, if all you can do is just send a level 3 monster to the grave, and eventually you'll get, if you have 2 level 4 monsters and you add this guy, you can easily get out the new Trishula Zero Dragon. However, so you're going to have to get 3, 6, 9 for the original Trishula. But due to the new one's ability, you can just summon Trishula from the extra deck, I guess ignoring its all its conditions. That's what I'm guessing on. So this is going to be like a little baby win for the Trishulas. And then let's introduce the new General to the family, General Wang of the Ice Barrier at 2. I love his ability, just when he's normal special summoned, you can add 1 Ice Barrier spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Also, should you ever control an Ice Barrier monster, I believe if your opponent controls a monster and if you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special this from your hand. Now, its other effect is, And this is continuous too. Spells and traps sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard are banished instead. So it has a built-in dimensional fissure within it, but for spells and traps. So this will help you kind of reduce your chances of getting hit by a spell and trap that your opponent may have. But again, this is all going to be in testing phases starting tomorrow when I go to my locals. So I'm just going to see what happens. And then I'm going to show the progress maybe later on in the next separate video. So when I do another video, I will give you guys the rundown of what happened. But I'm excited to try this out. So let's just see what happens. But yeah, General Wayne, welcome to the Ice Barrier family. And of course, we cannot have a real full barrier Ice Barrier deck without the 3 generals to start it all. So we got General Raiho of the Ice Barrier, General Gantala, and General Grunard. Now, these are the 3 generals that started the deck out years ago, and even when there's not much support, these 3 started it all. And as long as you have at least one of these cards in the deck, or one on the field, it should reduce your opponent's chances of winning. But like I said, it's a slim chance because due to the new meta that we're kind of getting right now with Dryden and Rocks, Emancipators, and all that garbage, we're gonna be fighting for a battle that we may or may not win. So this deck overall is a very fun deck. So that's the monsters I did select for my choosing. There will be a full deck list down in the description down below if you guys want to go ahead and check that out and give your own personal thoughts and opinions about what cards I should have used within the structure deck, because I know there's a lot of good options and I wish I could have kept some of them, but like I said, it took me like an hour and a half to make a final debate and a final unanimous decision. So yeah, shit happens. But now on to the spells. We're playing 3 copies of Winds Over the Ice Barriers, one of the newest additions to the Ice Barrier family. And I'm just going to go ahead and read its effect here because I kind of forgot. Tribute any number of Ice Barrier monsters, special summon from your deck, any level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monsters with different names from each other. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your Ice Barrier monsters that is banished in or in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use each effect of Winds Over the Barrier once per turn. So, basically what it's kind of asking you to do is, you contribute any number of Ice Barrier monsters in order to special summon from your deck that many level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monsters with different names from each other. So, I'm going to go ahead and take a wild guess. Like, if you take out 2 Ice Barrier monsters from your field, you can summon 2 level 4 monsters from your deck with different names. So, it helps you get more abilities out and more chances of summoning your strongest synchro monsters like Trishula. Which everyone knows that Trishula is one of the main thrusters from this deck, including its new evolutionary form. Or undead form. Whatever it's called. Next thing we got is 3 Medallion of the Ice Barriers, which lets you select 1 Ice Barrier from your deck to your hand, as long as it's an Ice Barrier monster. So 3 of this to get your Ice Barriers, certain Ice Barriers, ready and prepped for a good chance of a synchro summon or just an ability that you may need. So I play 3 of those, and I know I could find pricing better, but I don't like that Mirror of the Ice Barrier. Like, that card was like a tricky card to use, even for me. So I decided not to play it. Instead, I played the cards that I know I can understand better. Now, call me autistic if you want to. I know a lot of people are going to say that, but it's my own personal playstyle, and I prefer to keep it that way. Next, I'm playing 3 Magic Triangles of the Ice Barriers. Basically, it lets you reveal 3 Ice Barriers from your hand with different names. And then, Then target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy that target. And if you do, special summon 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand. So it lets you destroy a card your opponent controls, and lets you summon an Ice Barrier from your hand. So basically, you can summon one of the 3 or 4 generals. So there's a bonus kicker for that. Now here's a new one that we are going to probably play at 2. Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, which I'm still playing at too, just because it's just an experimental card, and I want to have some good options to try out afterwards. This card's ability is, when this card is activated, you can target one level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So basically, you can get a free Ice Barrier from your, it's like Call of the Haunted, but for a level 4 or lower Ice Barrier. And while you control 3 or more Ice Barrier monsters you control are unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters that were special summoned from the extra deck. You can only activate one Freezing Chain per turn. Okay, that's very much understandable. So when one dies, you just take one other card. Now, if there's a way to recycle them back, then I'm going to figure it out maybe after this video and give it a little proper testing. But we'll see what happens afterwards. So now for the final spell, I'm playing 2 Salvages to gain back 2 water monsters that are 1500 attack or less. Yeah. And then I'm back to your hand. So that's just pretty much all it's going to be coming down to. Just that. I'm sorry, I can't explain this more properly. I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to slowly work my way out this one too. Now for traps, we're playing 3 copies of Terror of Trishula, where Dewloren is going up against Trishula, the undead version. This new trap has an ability that applies depending on the number of Ice Barrier synchro monsters you control, with different names. So 1+, banish 1 card of your opponent controls. 2+, banish 1 card from your opponent's graveyard. Or 3+, banish 1 random card from your opponent's hand. So basically, it has a built-in Trishula power without the monster. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets an Ice Barrier synchro monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the effect. You can only use each of the effect of Terror or Trishula once per turn. So 3 of them, not a bad idea. I know it's probably the same, maybe 2 or 3, but it all comes down to personal preference. Next, I'm playing 3 Crackdowns, which is a little bit more control, and then Eisbahn, which is a non-water type. All of them are switching into defense mode. And we all know that Speaker and the Suyo, I could have put them in there too, but they lock down your opponent's basic strategy. Unless they link summon, then that's the only strategy you're kind of using to slow them down. But yeah, that's the main deck I have. And then for the extra deck, I'm just gonna go right zoom through this because you all know what they do. I'm playing 2 Dewlorens, Tiger King of the Ice Barriers, 2 Brionacs, 2 Gungnirs, 2 of the original Trishulas, and then 2 of the Sub-Zero Trishulas. So basically, you have like up to 10 deal you can use to pick up what you get what you paid for, basically. So anyways, that is my personal deck profile for Ice Barriers, featuring only the cards from the structured deck. And this is I like this little challenge a lot because it gives me more of a creative mind and an idea of what cards you can use, and then afterward you can just build your deck the way you want to build it properly. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a fun challenge for me, and it's always been a fun challenge for me, believe it or not, but this is going to be more of a bigger challenge once I get on the field. So I hope you guys like this video and enjoy it. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments down below. As always, please subscribe, like this video, thumbs up for it, rate, and you know the whole drill. And like I said, there will be a deck list in the description box down below. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this deck. So I'm going to be heading out, and I hope you guys have a great day, make good choices, and stay safe during this pandemic. And I love you all very much. And again, thank you for your love and support. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.